This is Mac OS Ken.
That might be sweat on Facebook's brow, accessorizing your Vision Pro, and AI was all over WWDC 23. It is Friday, the 9th of June, 2023. I'm Ken Ray, and this is news from Mac OS Ken, brought to you by yours truly and sponsored by HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit. Go to hellofresh.com/MOK16 and use code MOK16 for 16 free meals plus free shipping. This show is also sponsored by Issue, the all-in-one platform to create and distribute beautiful digital content. Are the digital publications you are putting out stuck in a rut? Give them new life with Issue. Catalogs, magazines, newsletters. Issue lets you turn those into interactive digital publications and social posts for everyone across a number of platforms. Embed the content on your site, convert it into easy-to-read articles for mobile, send it out to your mailing list, reach your audience on the socials. With Issue, you can create once and share everywhere. And here's another cool thing. Issue helps you hit the platforms you're trying to hit with the tools you already know, folding seamlessly with Dropbox, InDesign, MailChimp, and more. Get started with Issue today for free, or sign up for an annual premium account and get 50% off when you go to issue.com/podcast and use promo code MacOSKen. That's ISSUU.com/podcast and use promo code MacOSKen at checkout for your free starter account or 50% off an annual premium account. That's issue.com/podcast with promo code MacOSKen. Over at The Verge, Alex Heath writes that Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg doesn't seem fazed by Apple's introduction of the Vision Pro. What I can't tell is Alex Heath trying to be funny? Heath was kind enough to run the entirety of Zuckerberg's comments on Apple Vision Pro. Let's go through some of them. Apple finally announced their headset, began Zuckerberg, so I want to talk about that for a second. Okay, let me stop me right there. What did Daring Fireball's John Gruber say late last week? Don't try to remember, it was a rhetorical question. What Gruber said right after Facebook teased MetaQuest 3, right before Apple announced Vision Pro, was one difference between Apple and other companies. Apple acts like they are the only company in the markets they are in. Bet the rent money that Tim Cook will never talk about the MetaQuest anything, because that's who Apple is, and that's who Facebook is. Quoting Zuckerberg again, I think that their announcement really showcases the difference in the values and the vision that our companies bring to this in a way that I think is really important. We innovate to make sure that our products are as accessible and affordable to everyone as possible, and that is a core part of what we do, and we have sold tens of millions of Quests. More importantly, our vision for the metaverse and presence is fundamentally social. It's about people interacting in new ways and feeling closer in new ways. Our device is also about being active and doing things. By contrast, every demo that they showed was a person sitting on a couch by themselves. Not true. Check the tape. I mean, Zuckerberg continued, that could be the vision of the future of computing, but it's not the one that I want. There's a real philosophical difference in terms of how we're approaching this, and seeing what they put out there and how they're going to compete just made me even more excited and in a lot of ways optimistic that what we're doing matters and is going to succeed. Well, He's been right about everything so far. While accessibility features were not addressed in the Vision Pro keynote introduction, there was a session for developers covering just that. Mac Rumors highlights some of what was covered there. For those with accessibility needs, the piece says features like VoiceOver, pointer control, and dwell control will allow users to interact with Vision OS in other ways. According to the report, pointer control will allow the Vision Pro to be controlled based on head, wrist, or index finger position rather than eye tracking. Users will be able to adjust movement sensitivity to further fit their individual needs. Dwell control will provide on-screen options for tap, scroll, long press, and drag, allowing for users to interact with the interface without using their hands. Guided access is an accessibility feature that will promote focus by restricting Vision OS to a single app at one time. An Apple screen reader, VoiceOver, will be available on the Vision Pro as well. Users will be able to set up a VoiceOver shortcut in the Settings app on Vision OS that allows for the feature to be activated with a triple press of the digital crown. AppleInsider ran an interesting piece this week. It discussed what big deals iOS 17 and Vision Pro will be for accessory makers. Okay, Vision Pro makes sense, but how does an OS update drive the need for doodads? One word, standby, which probably ought to be 2 words, but whatever. In case you've forgotten, the piece reminds readers that standby turns your iPhone into a nighttime clock and more when it's turned to landscape and placed on a charger. AppleInsider goes on to say this will not work with the inexpensive non-magnetic portrait chargers, so cue a lot of chargers with MagSafe mounts being announced and sold this holiday season. As for Vision Pro, AppleInsider sees a couple of reasons for an accessories gold rush there. For one, it's brand new. There are no accessories. Almost. And for another, it's wicked expensive. The way the site sees it, people who spend $3,500 on a Vision Pro are going to want to protect it, so right away there's going to be demand for protective cases. And then, of course, if people can spend that money on the headset, they can be counted on to spend well on the case. At least the thing comes with a strap. Oh, wait, is there any way to set mine apart? I said there were no accessories. Almost. Well, there aren't, but the first accessories for Vision Pro have been announced. Mac Rumor says Apple Watch band and iPhone case maker BandWerk has unveiled a series of luxury leather headbands for Apple Vision Pro, the first third-party options of their kind for the device. I will say design-wise, they seem to know what they're doing. One look at their bands really makes me hate the plain gray bands on my Vision Pro that I probably won't be able to afford. According to the report, the headbands come in 5 different color options, including gray, brown and white, cream, beige and gray, and orange and gray. They will be made of Italian leather and crafted in Germany, accompanied by a color-matching fabric light seal. That orange and gray has seriously got it going on, assuming it stays as is. Mac Rumor says BandWerk notes that the product is still in development, so minor design details may yet change before it goes on sale. BandWerk says that the leather headbands will retail for $159 in the States and £129 in the UK. So macOS Ken listener Derek wrote to me earlier this week and said, I'm super excited to hear your thoughts on the new thing. I kicked that around and really couldn't figure out what to say exactly. Then I got an email from a friend yesterday with the subject line, I can't wrap my head around this. He attached an insider piece that had Stratechery founder Ben Thompson saying that Apple Vision Pro is the future of the Mac? Well, I was finally able to put my thoughts into words. I wrote back to my friend saying, I understand not being able to wrap your head around it. Putting it into words is difficult for me, especially since I haven't done a physical demo. That said, I personally think everyone is wrong about sales numbers. That is to say, I think everybody is underestimating them. Apple will sell as many of these things as it can make. The wait will be months long. The price is high, no doubt. But even not being able to put it into words, this is what I and people like me have been waiting for decades. The possibilities it opens for creativity, productivity, entertainment, and communication for starters are limitless. If you were looking for it, Apple showed an iPhone moment last Monday. Now, all of that said, it took about 80 days for Apple to sell its first 1 million iPhones in 2007. Even with demand that size, Vision Pro sales will look small since they'll be compared to the way iPhone sells today. Future history, though, it and subsequent versions are the next iPhone. I think we saw the future on Monday. As much as we've hit from WWDC, there was plenty more where that came from. We'll talk about that in a moment, but first a word from HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit and sponsor of today's show. Planning menus can be a chore, unless you're on a special diet, in which case it is a special chore. If you're trying to lose weight or change your diet, probably the way you cook isn't the way to keep cooking. HelloFresh can help you reach your goals with delicious calorie-smart and protein-smart lunch and dinner options, plus new vegan recipes as well. Maybe the problem isn't what you eat, but how long it takes to make. Look for quick and easy recipes on the HelloFresh menu, including fast and fresh options, ready in just 15 minutes or less. With their pre-proportioned, farm-to-table ingredients, easy-to-follow instructions, and truly delicious recipes, every meal I've made with HelloFresh has been wonderful. Try them for yourself. Go to hellofresh.com/MOK16 and use code MOK16 for 16 free meals plus free shipping. That's hellofresh.com/MOK16 and use code MOK16 for 16 free meals. Don't miss this great offer on America's #1 meal kit. Get free shipping and 16 free meals with code MOK16 at hellofresh.com/MOK16. As WWDC draws to a close, there is a ton of stuff we did not get to. In fact, there seems to have been a ton of stuff Apple didn't get to, at least not at first. On Wednesday, 2 days after the opening keynote, the Cupertino company issued a press release that could have been headlined, "But wait, there's more," but was instead titled, "Apple Previews New Features Coming to Apple Services This Fall." Because let's face it, Monday's keynote was jam-packed. Quoted in the "And the Rest" release, Apple Senior VP of Services, Eddie the Butler Q. Not only do we want to make services more powerful for users, he said, we also want to make them more fun. And I think the teams have done an incredible job with the lineup of new features we're delivering this fall, from collaborative playlists in Apple Music to offline maps in Apple Maps to new experiences in Apple Podcasts. New features hit include the aforementioned collaborative playlists, letting Apple Music subscribers collaborate on playlists with family and friends, selecting and editing tracks, and adding emoji reactions. Similarly, backseat DJs can contribute to what's playing in the car with SharePlay. There's the continuity camera karaoke thing for Apple TV, about which we talked on Thursday. Song credits in Apple Music give subscribers access to comprehensive data about the artists who contributed to their favorite tracks. Hey, remember when Apple took podcasts out of iTunes? Yeah, the company is now putting Apple Music in podcasts, letting people listen to Apple Music radio shows on Apple Podcasts. Folks can listen to audio stories from Apple News Plus on Apple Podcasts. Apple says there's an all-new Now Playing experience coming to Apple Podcasts. Presumably that's more than just adding Apple Music and Apple News Plus to it. Apple Podcasts will now support episode art. That is art specific to individual episodes, not the whole body of work. Users can download and browse offline maps, see real-time electric vehicle charging availability, explore thousands of park trails in the U.S., and seriously, this list goes on and on and on. Let me tell you about two more new things that excite me, not from Apple's press release. A piece from Mac Rumors says Apple Music is getting crossfades, like on the radio or in the club, or the way it was in the club when I used to go, like 57 years ago. According to the report, Apple says Crossfade will let you smoothly transition between songs so your music never stops. Here's the thing, though. There is art to the crossfade. I knew a DJ in 1993 who was still bragging about a crossfade he had done 10 years earlier. I had a tape of a crossfade from the radio when I was a kid that was so good, for decades I thought it was one long song instead of two songs masterfully married end to beginning. Crossfade in Apple Music could suck. Or machine learning could do the stuff that machine learning is doing. We'll come back to that. The other cool thing about which I read was in a piece from TechCrunch. According to that, iOS 17 can suggest recipes for similar dishes from a photo on your iPhone. Reminds me of a joke from the movie LA Story. Exiting an art museum, a guy says, "All those paintings of food made me hungry." To which our lead replies, "Yeah, I could go for some paintings of food too." In iOS 17, says the TechCrunch piece, photos of food will be identified and you'll be able to search for similar dishes. For instance, in the photo illustrating this on Apple's site, photos of bowls of quinoa lead to suggested recipes for other quinoa meals. If this works as described, it could be a handy way to get inspiration about what to cook without having to search across the web, though it likely won't be able to guide you to the specific recipe for the dish pictured. Do you remember a year or two ago when lots of people thought Apple would try to usurp Google by building a search engine of its own? I didn't think so then, and I really don't think so now. I always thought all the search stuff Apple was buying was about making Siri and the tech that powers it smarter. This is a thing TechCrunch points out, saying the recipe thing is another example of how Apple is subtly redirecting users away from Google search by having them start their queries directly on the iPhone. In this case, the search results provided would link users to the recipe website, bypassing Google. Now, I said we would come back to machine learning, but the fact is, we never left it. Recognizing quinoa in a picture and finding quinoa recipes is machine learning in action. Headed into WWDC, Wedbush analyst Daniel Ives said Apple would devote a lot of Monday's keynote to its AI plans. TF International analyst Ming-Chi Kuo indicated that Apple investors didn't want to hear about AR, they wanted to hear about AI. After the keynote, a number of sites had similar stories sort of arguing against those, but I like the headline from ZDNet best. AI was all over Apple's WWDC, according to the headline. It was just running in the background. One thing we've not hit on this show is privacy and security at WWDC. Yes, I know, that's two things, with lots of other things inside. This week on the checklist by Secure Mac, we're talking privacy and security in Safari, in iOS 17, and in Vision Pro. You're looking for checklist number 331, privacy, security, and WWDC 23. You can find it on the front page of macosken.com. You can find it on the show's website, securemac.com/checklist. And of course, you can find it wherever you get podcasts. macOS Ken, brought to you by me and sponsored by Issue. Get 50% off an annual premium account with code macOSKen at issue.com/podcast. This show is also sponsored by HelloFresh. Go to hellofresh.com/MOK16 and use code MOK16 for 16 free meals plus free shipping. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media, online at backbeatmedia.com. You can reach me a couple of ways. Info at macosken.com or call 716-780-4080. Until next time, that is news from macOS Ken. I'm Ken Ray.
We truly live in an age of wonders.